B9 riveting. General, the large portion of the component of this rail containing the engineer to be the permanent fastening together with the riveting. The importance of the use of the correct riveting techniques cannot be overlooked. The discussion proper trailer containing repairs listed below the riveting techniques. See figure the B13, 14, and 15 inspection procedure locations. Effective loose rivets. There are several methods of protecting loosely effective rivets. If a rivet can be turned with the shake of the fingers, shall be replaced. If loose and suspected cannot be verified by turning the upper shaft wrap while the hammer will reduce the dull sound and loose rivet. The further check of the coated with the rivet head with the light oil. Wait a few seconds for the oil to penetrate, wipe and then clean. Wrap it again with a hammer, and if the oil appears around the edge of it again, the rivet should be replaced. If financial appearance of the evidence the movement, the shifting between the riveted parts should bear a shiny area of the good condition that needs replacement. The proper riveting procedure. Select the rivet length of the shank before the riveting protrude through the material 1.5 inch time the diameter of the shank. Figure B13. Figure B13 says 1.5 inch diameter through the diameter. The two most common and important tools for producing good rivet application of the rivet set and the buckling bar. The rivet set is important to select the use of the correct rivet size and the size with the match for the head of the rivet being used. The oversight is set with the flat end with the rivet head with the damaged adjacent material, while undersized set with the damage of the rivet. The head of the rivet set held in the gun by the retaining spring. Also be sure that the spring is securely placed by the prying to starting the strike of the rivet. The gun is adjustable, should be protected against the block of the wood to ensure the proper strike. Note that soft rivets are prohibited with the trail repairs expected on the roof roof repairs. Bucking the bar. The bucking bar is used to reproduce the flat head with the buck head on the opposite end of the rivet. The manufactured head by the using the correct of the bar properly. Buck head should be properly produced with 1.5 times the diameter of the rivet shank and 1.5 in diameter and thickness. The weight of the bar being used is effective for the rivet job. If the bar is too light, they require more action with the rivet gun will be consequently cause damage to the material. Heavy bucking bar will work on the fastener and will keep the vibration of the gun being transmitted to the mechanical hand. Following areas are some of the basic rules to follow using the bucking bar. One of the surface side of the bucking bar is polished, known as the face. Most position headed correctly to the create of the proper buck head. Keep the face of the parallel to the material of the bar canted and the buck head is properly formed. The material will be damaged. The face of the bucking bar must cover the entire rivet end. The firm hold on the bar will result with a smoother and faster job. Will prevent the shatter. Good rivets and bad rivets. Good rivets, a 1.5 inch diameter, with a 1.5 inch diameter edge to the distance of the diameter of the rivet is not less than 1.5 or not less than a half inch. Poor rivets. The crooked hole head does not seal. The hole is too small. Elliptical. The rivet side slipped off. Buck up on the bar, not held on the parallels to the skin. Driven too much, not driven in hot enough. Buck up bar rough. Buck up bar slipped. Hole too large. Too much of the pressure while driving. Rivet slipped. Countersink uneven. Countersink too deep. Countersink not enough. Wrong angle. Solid rivets, rivet chart size, ratings. B10 axle bearings and brakes with the C figure B16 and B17's general several components of the manual have been discussed as being internal with the components of the rear and intermodal to the trailer chassis without proper care and preventive maintenance. Bearing the brakes with the need of the repair of the daily delivery of the freight. Brake and the brake inspection, cracks and broken drums, ruptured diagram, and other chamfers, leaks, and the missing of the broken and disconnected parts of the present imminently hazardous conditions likely to result in an accident and breakdown. Trailer and chassis should never be placed in service to any of the conditions that exist. Brake adjustments. When the axle must be raised a bit so that the wheels are free with the contact with the ground, release the brakes, use the shop air with the tractor air, release the spring brakes if the system employs the spring-loaded parking and emergency brakes while rotating the wheel, tighten the slack adjuster, turning the adjusting screw with the braking lining pressure with the stop of the rotation of the wheel back up to this pressure with the adjusting screw until the brake shoe, adjust the release of the drum and allows the wheel rotation again. Alternating method, adjusting brakes without raising the wheel with the contact with the ground properly with the most frequent use of these, and tighten the slack adjuster until the brake shoe is tightened against the drum, then back up carefully until the shoe jerks slightly indicating the set has started and backed away from the contract of the drum. Striking the drum with a hammer if dragged it still exists, the blow will produce a dull thud indicating that further clearance is required. When adjustment is completed, check the rod with the length on both sides of the similarity so the application pressure is balanced. The angle made by the push rod and the slack adjuster should be approximately 90 degrees when the service brakes are applied with the grease lubrication. When necessary to ensure that the linkage of the operating without constraint, examine the position of the push rod at the chamber exists to determine that it is not bent or rubbing. The automatic slack adjuster manufacturers have different procedures in installing operation adjusters. All automatic slack adjusters are designed to automatically maintain the pre-stroke clearance of the self-adjusting. Brake adjustment should not have the manually adjusted. Manual adjustments can be made temporarily until the inspection or repair can be completed. 3. The spring brake chambers. Warning, spring brake chambers contain the high strength of the spring, which are compressed and even to extend the position of the chamber. The spring of the suddenly release can propel itself with other parts of the brake chamber with enough force to serious injury personnel. Recommendation of the spring brake chamber. The manufacturer should be followed carefully with the inspecting, removing, repairing, servicing, disposing, and the otherwise handling of the spring brake chamber. The spring brake chamber does not authority to be discarded, should be safely disarmed before storage. Disarming should be accomplished in a disablement cage or other suitable safety device using the method recommended by the manufacturer of the spring brake chamber. The brake liners. Shoes should be coated to prevent corrosion. Stainless steel clevises and pins should be used. Testing, making sure the shoe is proper circumference. See bigger B17A for the acceptable and unacceptable cracks in shoes. Alright, your axle assembly. Axle 1, 2 cup, 3 cone, 4 seal, wheel 5, stud 6, 7 clamp wedge, 8 nut, 9 hubcap kit, 10 hubcap, 11 O-ring, 12 plug, 13 brake drum installation assembly, 14 drum, 15 bolt, 16 washer, 17 nut, 18 push washer, 19 pin, and 20 nut. Axle brake assembly. 1 tube axle, 2 bushing anchor pin, 3 fitting lube elbow, 4 bracket H chamber, 5 the chamber chair spring bracket, camshaft bracket retainer bolt on cap, 18 bracket retainer on bolt on cap, 9 washer cam bearing, 10 washer shaft and 11 retainer ring external lead, 12 slack adjuster assembly, 13 O-ring cam bearing inboard, 14 in bushing fitting lifting lubrication, 16 the retaining ring external, 17 bearing seal assembly, 18 camshaft left hand and camshaft right hand, 19 axle nut, 20 washer axle, 21 expansion spring plug, 22 spring return, 23 spring pin return spring, 24 pin brake anchor lining shoe assembly, 25 lining and non-asbestos, 26 rivet tubular, 27 shoe assembly brake in unlined, 28 retaining roller, 29 roller brake shoe, 30 spring anchor pin, 31 nut hex lock, 32 bolt hex 1 1/4 inch long, 33 bolt hex 1 3/4 inch nut, 34 nut hex lock, 35 pin cotter. Are your acceptable horizontal crack and linear edge not exceeding 1/16 of an inch with width or 1/2 an inch in length? The unacceptable cracks avoid that exceed 1/16 of an inch with width or cracks that exceed 1/2 inch in length. The corner segment missing with no fastening device, rivets to bolts exposed. The portion of the lining missing that exposes the fastening device. Surfaces of the cracks and lining of the face case can extend from the hole to hole. 5 and 6 cracks across the lining face extend through the lining edges. B11, upper coupler and kingpin figures B18 and B through B23. The kingpin is prepared. The restriction no repair of the kingpin for the any of the trailer chassis intermodal service allowed with the notification to the owner that the kingpins may be repaired only with the accordance with the specific instruction manufacturer on the trailer chassis. The kingpin's wear limits by permission of the Associated Society of Automotive Engineers, document SAE J2228, with the kingpin wear limits commercial trailers and semi-trailer forms a part of the specifications extended over the specified herein, otherwise specified with the current issue of the publication shall apply with all the publications subject to the revision, and the use of the documentation should be certain that using the current version of the copy of SAEA J2228 can be obtained with the contacting Society Automotive Engineers of 400 Commonwealth Drive, Wardendale, Pennsylvania 15096. Scope: the provisions apply with the upper coupler of the coupler kingpins of the commercial trailer, the semi-trailer conform with the dimension requirements of the SAE J700 when the new original installed with the dimension of the SAE J700 with the frame, the reference for the document. The purpose of the document is to establish maximum parameters of the kingpin wear, the suggested gauge of the configuration for the inspecting kingpin where the kingpin exceeds the condition of the specification must be removed from the service and replaced. See reference applicable document. The following publication for the form part of the specification specified here in the latest issue of the SAE publication shall apply. SEA publication from the available SEA 400 Commonwealth Drive, Wardendale, Pennsylvania 15096. SEA J700 upper coupler kingpin commercial trailer and semi-trailers. Figure B18 shows the minimum diameter allowable areas for the wear of the kingpin. Check the diameter several points for the bar on the kingpin in order to detect the measure of non-uniform wear condition. Kingpin wears the restricted areas shown in Figure B18 with the crosshatch where not crosshatched areas are not acceptable. Beach 19 shows the area of the kingpin where nicks and burrs of the gauge, gouges, etc. are allowed. However, no burn, nicks, or other gouge may exceed 3.2 millimeters in depth. The maximum number of the nicks and burns and gouges that exceed 1.5 millimeters in length should not exceed the 10 of the 50.8 millimeters in diameter. Nick burns of the gouges should not exceed 6.4 millimeters in length when measured at the maximum length. Figures B20 and B21 show the recommended gauge to inspect the wear on 50.88 millimeters and wear on 73.02 diameter. Kingpin length, the kingpin squareness of the bolster plate. The gauge shown in the no-go design, and so any of the engagement of the gauge with approximate appropriate to the diameter includes the kingpin is worn must be removed from surface and replaced. Kingpin length, the squareness and bolster plate flatness must be in accordance with the SAA J700. The squareness of the several points of the round of the kingpin to detect out of square condition. Other gauge configuration, direct reading of the measurement devices such as micrometers, dial calipers may be also used. Upper coupler attachments, fasteners may be damaged, loose, or missing. Generally due to the scuffing of the bottom of the rail should be replaced immediately for the safe operation. But the fasteners retaining the upper coupler in the position playing the important role in the overall trailer design. The quantity of these fasteners are made with the amount of the share load force introduced with the upper coupler at any reduction of the fastener with the damage, loose, and the missing place with the trailer. The risk of the continuous safe operation. Alright, Beach 18 shows the kingpin wear limits of 73.025 millimeters diameter and 69.95 minimum and worn, 50.8 millimeters diameter and new, and 47.498 millimeters worn, minimum worn. Nickels and burrs gauge the diameters must extend above the surrounding surface of the kingpin. Nickels and burrs gauges are allowed in this area. Inspection of the kingpin diameters using one type of the gauge. One type gauge shows the gauge and the kingpin length and squareness checking using the type of the gauge. Your front frame index number, the 1 coupler assembler, upper 2, the kingpin 3, the apron plate, 4, the cross member, the front 5, the channel front frame, the 6, the flat front plate floor front, 7, the bulkhead assembly, 8, the bracket, 9, the corner front bulkhead roadside, 10, the corner front bulkhead curbside, 11, the angle connection box support, and 12, the channel in the front and anti-hook plate. Alright, your floorboard and frame bed assembly. Alright, 1, sill assemblies, 2, sills, clips, floor sills, 3, 4 rivets and solid aluminum universal heads, 6, fifth wheel assembly, radius front with the 36, 7, the kingpins, 9, the stiffener, 10, the cross member, 13, the stiffener, 14, the plate pickup, 15, the corner radius, curbside, 4 corner radius, roadside, and 16, plate slide, plate, and 17, plate bottom and plate top. B12 subassemblies, figure B24 and B25 locking mechanism, sliding the undercarriage of the fall into the 3 categories with regard to the manner they are locked into place beneath the trailer chassis. Retraceable pins that operate with the pull handle with the lever on the slider. Remove the stop bars on located in front of it, located in the back of the slider. Combination of retractable pins or removable bars. Safety requirements regardless of the type of the locking mechanism used. Retractable pins and removable bars are principal structural elements holding the slider in place beneath the trailer and chassis. These are not maintained in proper working order. If they are not utilized by the plane or prescribed by the manufacturer, the slider can become detached from the trailer and chassis, and a serious accident could result. B, the guide with the hold-down brackets. A guard and hold-down brackets must be in place with good repair with the safe operation. These brackets provide all parts of the lateral vertical retention of the slider. These maintenance are required with the safe operation of the trailer chassis. C, the maintenance. Perform the scheduled maintenance with the suspension slider per the manufacturer recommendation. Before the repeat exemption of all the components, especially for the removal of stop bar and locking pin mechanism on a regular basis during the prevention of the maintenance of the safety inspection, replacing the worn, broken components of the factory-approved replacement parts. Warning, failure to check the proper locking pin engagement prior to the driving away. The failure to take the proper preventive maintenance measures can lead to slider malfunction, possible accident resulting in the proper damage, personal injury, or even death. D, air rides. Air ride suspension reduce the tire wear and road wear. Fuel consumption also reduce vibration. System components must be made in order to prevent these from becoming damaged, worn, misaligned. Any abnormalities such as loose or missing fasteners, bushing connections, abnormal tire wear should be assigned with the maintenance anytime part of the replace surface damage wear. The failure to complete the suspension should be checked. Your subframe assembly lowers FL side floor. Number 1 is a spring lock pin. Number 2 is a pin. Pin lock. Number 3 is a pin. 4 is the crossbar. 5 is the sleeve. 6 is the washer plane. 7 is the nut hex. 8 a bolt hex. 9 a guide lock lever. 10 lever the bracket assembly front. 11 hanger assembly front. 12 bracket assembly rear. 13 rail lower subframe. 15 hanger assembly equalizer. 15 hanger assembly rear. 16 and 17 end plate. 18 cross members. 19 slide plate. 20 cross member. 22 lock pin select a point. 23 cotter pin. 24 lock pin, 25 cable flexibility, 26 sleeve, 27 cross member, 28 gusset, 29 gross member, 30 plate slider bracket, 8 air tank mounting, 32 gusset hanger, 3 gusset hanger, 34 rail guide. Your spring assemblies. 1, the hanger front spring. 2, the hanger equalizer. 2, 4, the hanger leaker straddle mounted assembly. 3, the hanger rear spring. 4, the equalizer. W, the rubber bushing. 5, the sleeve spacer. 6, the hex nut. 7, the hex bolt. 8, the step bolt. 9, the double washer lock tab. 10, the top plate with for the mounted round square U-bolt. 11, torque arm adjustable. 12 the torque arm non-adjustable, 13 torque arm bolt, 14 flange knot, 15 spring seat round or square, 16 bottom plate round or square, 17 flat washer, 18 hex bolt, 19 U-bolt round or square, 20 spring assembly single multiple leaf, 21 spring seat round or square, I end adjustment torque arm left-handed, B, I end adjustment torque arm right-handed, C, the screw adjustment torque arm, 8, D, the hex nut, E, the flat washer, J, F, the head flex bolt, and G, the bushing. B13 electrical air systems. Electrical system, lighting system. The lighting system shall be at a 12-volt design with a conventional 7 conductor electrical connector of the socket where it's installed with the pair figure 1. Lighting system on the trailer consists of lighting connection located on the nose of the trailer of the 4 red marking lighters of the 2 amber marking lights, the 4 amber reflectors, 2 red reflectors, combination of stop of the tail lights on 1 of the right-hand directing signals, 1 of the left-hand directing signals, 1 license plate light, and auxiliary lights, and all necessary wiring clips, terminals, and connectors for the correction function of the system that meets the required Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards of 108. Lights from recess of the protection for the trailer sides at the ends with no opening permitted will allow water in the system. Chassis lights consist of 2 combination stop lights and tail lights, 1 of the right-handed direction, 1 of the left-handed direction signal, 1 license plate light, and lights are recessed in protection with no one permitting to allow the water into the system. 2, protective coating is recommended with the diesel dielectrical grease to be used with the protective coating on all the electrical connectors to be assured the longevity and performance of electrical connection. Welding on trailers and chassis can be hazardous and sensitive electrical components such as the lights. Before welding, check the following. All air lines are protected with a heat and splatter. All anti-skid components are shielded and protected from the heat and splatter. Ground clamp is placed and is closed to the weld. If it's practical, electrical trailer and power order to disconnect from the power unit. A, to be the air system. Figure B6, B26, and B27, the air brake is designed with the accessible to the exterior of the trailer, normally running with the center of the trailer, accessible from the beneath the cause, and should be taken while working on the floor cross member accessories not to be damaged the integrity of the system. 1 air chamber diagram replacement is not recommended. 1 air relay replacement. Air relay valves requiring the replacement due to the corrosion mechanical damage to the trailer and chassis replacement should be 1-for-1 basis for the OEM replacement design installed relay valve with a different manufacturer that may valve originally is installed. Refer to the manufacturer for information on replacement valves. Your drain cock manual replacement. All air tanks have a lowermost point, the threaded boss of the manual rotating type of the valve, which always allows bleeding air pressure to entrap the moisture of the dirt and debris from the tank. These valves due to the constant exposure to the moisture due to the malfunction are replaced with a similar type of the rotating valve with merely unthreaded the defective valve with inserting the replacement component. 3, the gland hand replacement. Gland ham shall be mounted with the recessed portion of the nose of the trailer and chassis so that it makes the gland hand flush and recedes to prevent damage from the impact of the nose of the trailer and chassis. Alright, figure 26 is your air connections. You have your box light receptacle and number 1, your co-op handling air service number 2, gland hand, 3, fitting 45-degree wide bend, 4, receptacle 7-way, 6, a nut retainer speed clip. 7, a coupling air emergency glad hand. 8, hose assembly and coupling assembly. Number 9, airline. Air actuation brake system. 1. The surface reservoir. 3. The valve. 5. The valve. 12. The tubing. 13. The tubing. 15. The spring brake chamber. 16. Slack adjuster. And 25, 26, 27. The hose assembly. 30. The conduit. And 31. The surface reservoir. B14 tires. Safety precautions. When working with the tires, several safety precautions should be followed listed below with our items to be considered. Do not reinflate the tire that has been run while the flat without the first inspection with the tire, the rim, the wheel, the base with the 20% under the inflated with the considered flat. The tire should be inspected with the defects. Double check with the locking ring with the damage. Make sure that it is secured with the clutter before inflation. Always possess all the air. Both of the tires dual assembly prior to removing any of the rim with the exterior with any of the wheel components. Teeth, the nuts with the rip clamp. Make sure that you remove the valve core exhaust and all the airs and the tires also in one side of the wheel applied with the pressure to the tire. Check the rim and the components periodically with T cracks. Replace the cracked, badly worn, damaged, severely rusted components. Welded components. 3-piece rims are prohibited. Make sure that the correct part of the tire and the rim assembled being assembled. Mixing of the part of one manufacturer rims with those of another prohibited. Double check to make sure that all the components are properly sealed and proper fin inflation of the tire. Do not overload the rims over inflate the tires. Check the manufacturer if special operations are required. Do not seal the rings by hammering while the tire is inflated. Do not hammer on or inflated partially inflated tire or rim assembly. Do not inflate any of the tire bore. All sides of the locking rings are in place and check components for the proper assembly again after inflating the approximately 5 psi. 10. Never sit on the standing in the front of the tire and rim assembly that was being inflated. The use of the clip on the trunk. Make sure that the air hose is large enough to permit the person inflating the tire and stand to the side of the tire with a minimum of 24 inches. 11. The studs and long nuts should be replaced according to the dot regulation. Although they inflate the tires which have been removed with the trailer's chassis and safely caged, the tires must be inflated and deflated while the trailer on the or chassis. Tires should be properly inflated according to the individual tire standards. Under inflation of the tires should put normal wear on the side of the tread because of the outer edge of the tire carry on the load, while the center tends to flex up the way from the road. This causes the tire to run harder. Over the inflation of the tires, abnormal wear and center of the tread, also shortening the life of the tire, becomes the center of the tire tread more than the share of the load. Minimum standard of the retreading of the repairing bias implies tires. Purpose of the retreading is standard described herein, provided with the guidelines manufacturing retreaded tires and chassis tire of the highway surface. The scope of the standards of the cover, the definition of terms used in the retreading industry, initial inspection, criteria for the rejection, casting, the acceptable criteria for the repairing of the tires, retreading, in process, rules, and final inspection. Definitions, see glossary. 4. Casting inspection selection of the retreading inspection of the casting. The careful inspection shall be made with the skilled operative. Shall include the placing of the tire spray bead spreader under the adequate lighting of the at least 200-foot candles so that the interior exterior of the tire is adequately exposed for the visual manual inspection. Inspection standard for the tire used on the highway. All casing must be top quality of the 12 to 14 ply with the Department of Transportation approved. The Japanese casing will also acceptable. No tires accepted. Retreading may be contained any of the following weaknesses of the injuries required to require section repairs. External ply separation, tread separation, which are not removed during the buffing, broken, damaged, and kindled, exposed by bead wear, oxidation, weather checking, exceeding 1/32th inch in depth. Truck tires worn badly plies with more than 10% of the worn tire circumference permitted with the provided within the opinion with the retread of the tire that can be satisfactorily retread. Holes larger than 1/4 inch after skiving after the object is removed. The nail holes or the injuries must be filled with the most suitable repair material. Do not require reinforcement. Maximum of 3 hole repairs per casing provided with the hole patches that are at least 10 inches apart. Note that the nail hole patches must be applied over the inside of the punctured area section. Repairs are not allowed. Injuries, penetration, sidewall cord, injuries exceeding 1/4 inch of the shoulder area, internal injuries into the plies of into the bead area, loose cord on the inside of the ply, evidence of having been run under, inflated, or overloaded. Non-repairable damage to the inner liner, beading seals, area of the tires identified in the tubeless flex brakes. The processing standard listed below is essential for the top prop of the manufacturing of the retread of the top of the cap. The full caps are acceptable. Bead caps are not acceptable. Buffing the time of the tire dimension shall be appropriately. The system used with the finished buff within each of the casing may not penetrate more than 1 breaker plier to a 12-inch length. The tread surface in which we receive the new rubber shall be prepared with the systematic profile of the texture of the on-trail and chassis tire with all frayed with the corridor shall be trimmed with the buffered surface shall be free of the contamination and shall have the texture equivalent to the RMA 3 and 4 procedure procured, treating, and retreated. buffered with the radius and shall be appropriate with the fixed dimension of the procured treated rubber chosen. Tires shall be prepared and shaped in the specification to be posted in the shop. The cementing of the most best accomplished as soon as possible with a maximum of 12 hours after buffering. Buffered casing should store it up to 12 hours, but should be reworked prior to the cementing. Tires to be cemented must be free of the foreign materials such as buffing, dust, and dirt, and loosened cords, etc. Some procedures do not require cementing of the tires. In this case, tires should be built when reworked within the tire frames, giving them B1 and B2 of the above. Building. If the tire cord is exposed with any portion of the buff area, there shall be coated with the heavy vulcanizing cement that covered with a suitable material before applying the tread rubber. Skeeves shall also be filled with the repair material, the install of slight stitch, and extruded with only into the place of the eliminate and all trapped area. The reinforcement necessary. Buzz outs may not exceed 1.5 inch long, of the 3¼ inch wide. May not be penetrate more than 2 breakers. Section repairs are not allowed. Unincurred retreading. Retreading. Tread rubber must be on the crown base of the gauge of the dimension as required with the matrix design. The size in which the tire is curved to be curved with the shell provided with a maximum of 2/32 of an inch replacement and treaded. The minimum tread depth shall be 1/11/32 of an inch. Tread rubber adhesive surfaces, if any, must be non-contaminated in any way. The tread rubber must be centered around the buffer to circumference of the tire plus 1/8 of an, plus or minus 1/8 of an inch. Stitching, if required, must not be performed in such a way that it eliminate the trap air pockets, pulling the tread off the center of the distortion of the rubber shoulders. Full of the wrinkles of the rubber shoulders of the splice, if any of them, must be made with such a manner to ensure the minimum of the distortion of the rubber. No manner than 3 spot repairs of the per casing are permitted. The non-spare repair of the penetrate the first ply with exceeded 4 square inches. For procured thread retreading, tread rubber must be centered around the buffer circumference of the last tires of 1/8 plus or minus 1/8 of an inch. Thread pattern interruption must be minimized at the splice, at the cussing, and at the buffered texture of the other entire surface to be free to contaminate. D. Curing. Uncurred retreading. The tire should be stored in such a manner to prevent distortion. The uncurred rubber that shall be kept free with the contamination information for the specification curing, the time, temperature, pressure, and the proper curing of the tube. The frames when used should be posted. The procured threading, the retreading, envelopes, diagrams outside of the steam bags should be leak free. The information specification, cure, time, temperature, pressure, and proper curing of the tubes. Rims when used shall be posted. The wicking and when required shall be accomplished with the coil. Air removal between the envelope and the diaphragm outside the steam bags of the enclosed tire areas during the cure. 6. Final inspection. After curing the retread, you shall make the final examination of the tire inside. The tire shall be checked to ensure that the nail holes and reinforced skids in the spot the repairs are properly bonded. The retreaded tire shall not be buckled and show no separation. The outside of the tire should be checked to ensure that it be adequately modeled. The curve of the also required labeled and retreaded manufacturers complete the dot code, including the retreaded identification date, and it must be molded and branded into the sidewall of the original casing. Be visible after capping. No cold vulcanization cement is allowed. 7. Finished product. The finished product must be serviceable for interstate highway use. The furnished product must be warranted by the manufacturer to either purchase the trailer or chassis of the tire owner. B15 dot underride guard. The underride guard is our assembly required with the dot specification, which are fastened to the rear sill assembly or the slide rails, is designed to reduce the damage in the rear end of the collision, referred to the FMV SS223 and FMVS 224. Vertical bend with excess of 3 inches for the horizontal bar should be repaired if the end of the horizontal bar member is bent upward, then the bent down to the original position. The bent downward can be left alone, but the bent up to its original position. If bent forward less than 3 inches, no repair is needed. In the middle of the horizontal member, the bent forward, the entire guard is bent forward. To consult with the manufacturer repair guidelines. Use only the cold bending methods. Repetitive bending should be avoided. With guard damage, the rear cross members, the real so vertical members to the last 6 feet of the floor must be inspected for the damage. Missing guards should be replaced with an OEM assembly on the assembly fabricated with the same specifications. Appendix C glossary. We're going to skip this one.